In this video, we're going to show you how to install the thermostat on your Hummer H3 located on the front portion of your engine. I'm going to go ahead and open up our radiator cap. You want to make sure that the vehicle is cold. Crack that open. And go ahead and set that to the side. We're going to use a 13mm socket. I'm just going to loosen these. And let's move to the top here. I'm going to remove these. Now at this point, we can grab the shield here. We're going to slide it back. With the vehicle raised and supported, I'm going to go ahead and remove our center cap. You can use a flathead screwdriver or a trim tool, and you're going to come in right behind here and gently pry out and pop that off. Using a 19mm socket, I'm going to go ahead and loosen and remove our lug nuts. Go ahead and grab that wheel, remove it, and set it aside. With the front wheel off, we're going to go ahead and remove this 10mm bolt on our splash shield. Use your 10mm socket. Go ahead and remove that. Now using your trim tool, you want to go ahead and remove the remaining plastic locking buttons. We're going to go right here to the outer edge, and you go underneath the top center portion and pop out the center. And pull it about 2/3 of the way, and then get behind the base and pull that out. Now we're going to go ahead and repeat this process. There's going to be a whole series of these around the inside of the fender liner. You want to go ahead and remove. Now moving to the front side. Pretty much you just follow these around the fender well perimeter. And sometimes these buttons will come apart, not a big issue. They are keyed, so they're only going to pop back together one way. If you try and spin that around, it won't fit. One right here on the top. Sometimes these break, you just have to source some replacements if they do. In most cases, these are pretty durable. I'll get this one here. All of our buttons are removed. Just now go ahead and drop the liner. Now once you have all of your hardware out, we're going to start on the back section here. We're going to grab the fender liner, and you're going to flex your mud flap just a little bit. Pull it out from behind that. Now the back section here is sitting on top of the frame, so now we have to pull the fender liner out towards you. Once that's off the frame, this literally drops down, pivot it out from behind the front bumper, and remove the liner. Now underneath the vehicle on the driver's side, you're going to locate your radiator hose here. Now normally radiators are going to have a drain on it, and this particular one does not. So what we have to do is loosen our clamp and just wiggle our hose back gently until it starts to leak, and then we're going to catch it into our catch can. And hopefully we'll be able to avoid a big splash. But you definitely want to make sure you have means to collect any spilled coolant. I'm going to try and slide our hose back here. Just sliding the hose clamp off there. Grab that hose, and we're going to push that up a little bit. Let's go ahead and install our lower radiator hose. Now the first thing before you do that, go ahead and inspect it. Wipe it down what you're looking for is to see if the hose is swollen, split, or any defects or anything like that you want to pay attention to. The other thing is the hose clamp. Now, our clamp that we took off was a little bit rusty, and we did find a piece that was compromised on it. So what we're going to do is we're going to switch over to a worm gear style hose clamp here. We don't want to risk having a hose blow off on us while we're driving. So what we're going to do is go ahead and get our hose positioned and our hose clamp on. Let's line this up and work that onto the radiator. When you see that hose is fully seated down there, I'll go ahead and tighten down the clamp. Want to make sure that hose clamp is roughly exposing about maybe 3/8 of an inch or 1/2 an inch. And go ahead and snug that down. Now, with the wheel well removed, we're going to come over here just to where the forward part of our upper control arm is and come straight up. And then you're going to find your lower radiator hose coming through, and it goes to our thermostat housing right here. We want to go ahead and loosen this clamp. We're going to use our tool here to hopefully compress that. Now, ideally, what you want to do is go ahead and work that hose clamp off the front side onto that thermostat housing there, and we're able to slide ours down. Now we want to go ahead and pull off the hose off of the thermostat housing and grab that, kind of twist a little bit and try and break that free. Sometimes if that doesn't want to break free, you can use a pick and get under the edge of that hose. We're just going to try and lift up on that to try and break that seal. Now, if you can get your pick inside there, normally you can run it around the inside of that hose, but you want to be careful not to damage that hose unless you plan on replacing that as well. Now we've gotten that seal somewhat loose, we're able to wiggle that hose. Now, even though we did drain the radiator, there's probably going to be some residual coolant in here, so we do recommend that you put a catch can or a bucket underneath to catch that fluid. Reach up in there, rock that hose back and forth. Ideally, you want to push that hose off to the side. Then, go ahead and remove our clamp, slide that off. So we're going to use a long extension, a swivel, and a 10mm socket. Now, there are 2 of these bolts holding this thermostat and housing to the engine. So I'm going to go ahead and spin this one out here. What I'm going to try and do is possibly reach in there, spin that bolt out and grab it. Remove that bolt. Now we're going to go grab the one up above. Now you need to have a swivel to get to this one here. It's up underneath the alternator. Now with that one loose, I'm going to go ahead and use my magnet to go ahead and grab that. There it is. Now we're going to separate that thermostat housing from the block. Probably going to have a little bit of coolant leak. Got to remove that thermostat and housing. Now with the housing and the thermostat removed, I'm going to go ahead and reach up in there. You do want to go ahead and make sure that the surface on the block is clean and free of any gasket material, anything like that. So we're just going to use a little towel here and wipe that down. Now the first thing we want to go ahead and talk about is putting our bolt on our socket with the swivel. Now normally you'd be able to do this here and that bolt would fall right out. So what you do, good little tip, take a piece of painter's tape, stretch it right over the top of the socket itself, and then take your bolt and push it through, and that'll hold that bolt there while we go ahead to try and install that. Now with our thermostat, this is very, very important for installation. If you flip this over and you see your thermostat has this little valve right here. Okay, you want to make sure that that is on the top. So when we install this here, pay attention to this little bump. That needs to be at 12 o'clock. Now I'm going to go ahead and put this up and in. Now the O-ring gasket is already pressed into this thermostat housing. Okay, with that in place, we can now go ahead and take our extension, feed that through. Go ahead and get that bolt started. Now with that installed, we're going to go ahead and position this just a little bit. Make sure that that hole lines up on the top for the next bolt. Okay, now that we have both of these bolts installed, we can go ahead and torque these down to 89 inch-pounds or 7.4 foot-pounds. Basically, once that bolt bottoms out, snug it gently. That's it. Go ahead and do the same up top. It's bottomed out, and just a hair bit more. I'm going to go ahead and just do the bottom one more time. It's plenty tight. So just reverse procedure. We're going to slide our hose clamp on and slide that over the neck. We can grab our radiator hose, flip that back over here, and work that down and on. Wiggle that hose clamp over. I do want to make sure that that is in the proper location and is on far enough. We can release our hose clamp. And we do want to go ahead and grab that hose, give it a tug, wiggle, make sure that it's locked in and it's definitely secured. Once you've completed the thermostat and housing installation, we can now install our wheel well. Take the liner. We're going to feed the front end up in first. Now we'll go ahead and take the back. I'm going to feed this up and in. And we basically just have to lift up this back section, push it up on top of the frame. Last section here, go ahead and fit this in behind your splash shield here. Now we're going to reverse the procedure, install all of our plastic push pins, 10mm bolt on the splash shield and your plastic push pin there. We're going to install our 10mm bolt here, and you just want to snug that down gently. You can go ahead and fill your radiator. We're going to put in our funnel here, and go ahead and fill this with the appropriate fluid. Now we're going to go ahead and continue to fill this until there's no more room here, and then we'll cap this off, remove it, and put our lid on. Now that you have your radiator filled, go ahead and install your cap. Now after you've filled up your radiator and everything is all set there, you want to go ahead and just double check your transmission fluid, and you want to top that off as necessary because we did lose some fluid from the radiator when we did remove that. So go ahead and fill that up as accordingly. Now before you start up your vehicle, go ahead and locate your expansion tank here. We want to go ahead and evacuate this fluid, and we want to top it off with some fresh fluid. Now you can use a tool like we have here. You can use something as simple as a turkey baster. Go ahead and evacuate that fluid, remove as much as you can, and then we'll top it off with fresh. Go ahead and grab a clean funnel that you want to use for your antifreeze. Now we're going to go ahead and fill this up. There should be a marking on this tank there that shows a high and low. So go ahead and fill accordingly. So our expansion tank has the cold fill line just below the seam. So we filled it up to the seam itself because our radiator has been replaced. We want to make sure we have just that little bit extra so when the engine burps out any air, we'll have some extra coolant in there to take up that place. Go ahead and remove that funnel, install the cap. Now at this point here, you want to go ahead and hop into the vehicle. You want to start it up, let it run for about 15-20 minutes, allow for that thermostat to open up. When that does, it's going to take coolant from here and from our expansion tank here and run it through the engine. You want to go ahead and check the level on your expansion tank here. Make sure that the level is proper with the engine warmed up. If you do need to add coolant, add it through the cap itself here. Never ever open up this radiator cap when it's hot. You can take your wheel, line it up on those studs, set it in place. We want to go ahead and get all of our lug nuts started by hand. Once they're all started, we're going to go ahead and snug them down. I want to go ahead and snug these down in a crisscross pattern. We're now going to torque down our lug nuts to 103 foot-pounds. When doing this, you want to do it in a crisscross pattern. Grab your center cap. You want to line up this leg with the opening here in the wheel. And take our skid plate, slide this up under the front bumper, and then we're going to bring the back over these bolts. Slide that up. I'm going to install our 2 bolts up from the bumper to the skid plate, get these started. And let's go ahead and tighten them all down. Do the 2 front ones first, and then the 2 rear.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.